Welcome to the 5th video on the features of the upcoming expansion to Hearts of Iron 4. No compromise, no surrender. I'm Peter Nicholson, Game Director of Hearts of Iron, and today we'll discuss the new and reworked features coming up. In addition to what we'll cover today, we've also covered the reworked Doctrines system in its own video, which you can find linked in the description. Eagle-eyed viewers of previous videos will have noticed a new element added to the top bar, nestled between the country flag and the Decisions tab. This is your new shortcut to open the Factions window. In this update, we wanted to take the existing Factions mechanic and make it more than just an alliance. As the game goes on, you'll be able to collaborate with your faction partners and boost each other's power as you work together for common aims. The Faction Manifest is a declaration of the purpose of your faction. Conquer new land, promote democracy, or similar long-term aspirations. Each manifest has a percentage of fulfillment, which will go up and down as the game goes on. For example, the Defense of Democracy manifest is dependent on the number of free democratic nations or dominions in the world. At certain levels of fulfillment, your faction will gain bonuses related to that manifest. Every faction will have a set of goals, which are divided into short, medium, and long term. Each goal is then further divided into categories like consolidation, faction research, conquest, and others. Faction Initiative is a new resource for your faction which will allow you to reshape it by changing your current goals, setting new rules, and creating faction theatres. Initiative is accumulated individually, and you'll gain more over time depending on how much your faction manifest has filled up and your personal faction influence. As each nation has their own pool of initiative, it's a perfect tool for collaboration and conflict within the faction. A coordinated group can spend their initiative wisely and quickly unlock bonuses, while a more dissenting faction might fight and end up undoing work done by others. We've also made the faction rules more comprehensive. As an example, you can now choose which countries are eligible to join your faction based on which ideology they are or aren't, their geographical position, and whether they're at war or not. There are plenty more rules to consider, such as when you can declare war, how to change the faction leader, costs of actions during peace conferences, and more. One of the largest venues of cooperation within a faction is faction research. You'll need to complete a specific faction goal to unlock it, after which you can spend initiative to transform one of your experimental facilities into a joint research facility. Other faction members may then assign their own scientists to help conduct research at that facility, which will increase the overall faction research bonus. This means that you'll get bonus research speed for any tech that another member of your faction has already researched. The more members that have that tech, and the more scientists that are assigned, the larger the bonus will be. In addition, any special project researched at that facility will get a speed bonus, and anyone who has assigned scientists will get some progress towards that special project too. Unlocked by another short-term goal are the faction military operations. Here, you're able to select to contribute a percentage of your monthly manpower gain for the faction garrison manpower pool, ranging from 0 to 15%. Doctrine sharing is a way to more effectively master your doctrines. Once unlocked, any sub-doctrine that another faction member has a higher mastery in can receive a mastery bonus. This is especially useful if you switch sub-doctrines later in the game. Finally, with faction theatres, you'll be able to boost the supply bonus for the assigned countries in an area. Each theatre requires a theatre commander, which can either be a field marshal or an admiral, and who will give stronger bonuses to their respective field. Additionally, the theatre commander's country earns mastery when other faction members fight within the faction theatre. One of the key purposes of faction theatres is to give your AI allies a clearer indication of where you'd like them to focus their efforts. They'll be far more likely to send troops to areas covered by faction theatres and will factor this into their strategic planning. The final tab in the faction's screen is for faction intelligence, where the various agencies from the faction's members can collaborate. You can assign a spy master and advisors as heads of various intelligence positions. Each position grants powerful bonuses in their respective fields. Additionally, like with most of the other parts of the faction, through intelligence sharing, you can speed up the upgrades of your agency if another country has already completed it. With all of this collaboration, you can see how it's especially beneficial for a minor nation to join a faction and benefit from all the speed bonuses to things that the majors have already unlocked. Since naval gameplay is so important to the Pacific Theatre, we wanted to update it in a way to add more depth while simultaneously making it more intuitive to the player. One of the most important changes is the introduction of Naval Dominance, which replaces the old supremacy system. Establishing naval dominance in a sea zone provides you with certain advantages and bonuses. For example, you can reduce the amount of convoys needed for trade and supplies by up to 25% if you hold the entire shipping route. To establish dominance in a sea zone, you need a minimum amount of dominance value, which you'll get by moving ships there. Each ship has its own dominance value, which is calculated by ship class and the ship's speed, range, and max attack. Unlike supremacy, the change in dominance isn't instant, so the dominance bonuses don't disappear as soon as the ships engage in battle or return to port for repairs. In No Compromise, No Surrender, we're dividing naval missions into two different categories: core missions and auxiliary missions. Patrol, convoy raiding, and strike force are your core missions, and will be the primary tools to interact with naval dominance. Patrol builds up your own dominance. Convoy raiding reduces enemy dominance, and strike force acts as a way to amplify the other two missions. Auxiliary missions don't directly interact with naval dominance, but they still benefit from having it. Like convoy escorts having increased positioning, which improves their ability to screen the convoys. We've also added another piece of automation to the fleet missions, where you'll be able to decide which types of ship to engage with. Now you can tell your light cruiser patrols to withdraw from combat as soon as any capital ships show up, which will allow you to make better strategic decisions. A returning feature in Hearts of Iron are the home bases. Previously, ships' ranges and supplies were projected from any friendly naval base, which is not how warships operated then or now. In our new system, you'll choose a home base for your fleets from any naval base you have access to, which dictates the range of your naval missions and where naval supply will be coming from. If you'd rather not select new bases whenever you want to change where to execute your missions, this process can be automated. The game will then choose a base which is in range of your missions. We've added 2 new capstone buildings to assist the naval gameplay, both of which require a level 8 naval base in the province you build them. The Naval Supply Hub represents the extended capacity to refuel and restock, which is required for your fleets to have extended range in their missions. This will mean that your fleets can operate within the range of their home base and any other port that contains naval supply hubs. The Naval Headquarters, however, will allow you to assign an admiral to increase the effectiveness of task forces operating within its range. You can quickly check if the task force is operating within the range of your naval headquarters and the bonus gained from it. We'll be adding 3 new special projects in No Compromise, No Surrender: support ships, escort carriers, and submarine carriers. Support ships unlocks repair and support ships, which you can attach to your task forces in order to provide benefits, including ship recovery charts. This will give you a chance to save some of your ships from certain death and destruction. Escort carriers unlocks new carrier equipment meant to provide you with cheaper, easier to produce carriers, which are helpful in auxiliary roles. What they lack in combat power, they make up for in a supportive manner. Submarine carriers carry planes like the regular carriers, but act a little differently. Their planes participate in carrier air missions, but during naval combat the carrier will act like a regular submarine. This makes the submarine carrier quite a versatile ship. Keeping your homes warm and keeping your factories running, it's coal, which is coming to Hearts of Iron 4. The intention with adding energy to the game is to put a soft limit on the current near-limitless industrial expansion. If you want to expand your production, you need to make sure that you can supply that production with enough power to support it. Like most other resources in the game, coal can be excavated in certain states, and can be traded for. Every unit of coal that you have will produce a set amount of energy, which is used to power your civilian and military factories, as well as your naval dockyards. The amount of energy required for your factory has a scaling cost per factory, which means that a nation with a smaller industry can sustain itself with a proportionally smaller amount of coal than that of a major. You can also adjust the amount of energy required by your factories with your economy law. Factories in a civilian economy will require significantly less energy than those of a total mobilization economy. Fortunately for those who expand their energy consumption quicker than their production, running out of energy does not mean your factories are all turned off immediately. Instead, you'll have reduced output. We've also added a scaling modifier to the penalties to avoid piling on additional pain to a nation who is already hurting. Someone who has everything, except energy of course, will face greater malices than someone who has nothing. Thank you all for watching. We hope you'll enjoy playing with these new features when No Compromise, No Surrender releases on November the 20th.